Welcome to Truth Forum, a forum to discuss truth in a friendly surrounding like we do at home at the kitchen table. I'm your host, Dr. Smith. I do have the rights to perform the songs, the notes, and the lyrics as licensed by BMI. I will continue to lead compelling, relatable, and honest conversations. My guests will range from community leaders, family, professionals, people whose stories will touch and inspire you. If you'd like to be a guest on the kitchen table, you can call us at 269-282-1490. Email us at kingdombuildersworldwide2@gmail.com. My vision is to catalyze, energize, and bring people together. I want to continue to share some things that are extremely essential. See, there'll be no network unless you know who you are, and then you know who should be in the network. In Africa, the different tribes would sit down and they would talk to their family members and just continue to share history so our children continue to make sure they never repeat itself. Reawakening our people is extremely important, and that's what we do here at the kitchen table. It's storytelling time. It's an obligation to all leaders to bring in the connection of who we are and what we are so we may grow, develop, and learn. I'm excited today, but before I introduce my guests, I'm grateful for my producer, Tiffany Smith, Ronnie Hoyt, Carl English, Mike Campbell, my son, T2 on Facebook Live, Cameron Chanel McKinley, and Yvonne Armstrong, and my main man, co-host, Deacon Doug Jones. I'm happy today to introduce my guests. We got family here. It's a family affair.
That's right.
Quintet Clark, Elisha. I said it wrong. Elisha Clark and Tracey Cummings. Let's put our hands together for all of them. All right. Deacon Jones, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Bishop.
You know, yesterday I was coming back from the wedding and we had big snow like this. I mean, like, you know, Alaska.
Mm-hmm. It looked like December
Yes,
yesterday.
and then we get home and then we wake up today and it was all right.
Yep.
See, there's a God somewhere.
I don't think there's any snow on the ground right now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we are excited today. For many of you all, you know the young, beautiful lady on my right. This is Tracey Cummings. Of course, she is the mother of our dearly beloved Joseph Bowser. The second, they call him Little Joe. He, of course, those to my far right, they are all family members, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves because they're not just activists and people, but they are very, very close to the young man Joe, which is the auntie and the uncle. But first of all, I want you to introduce yourself real loud, give us your name, a little brief about you real quickly, and we'll keep it moving. To my right.
My name is Tracey Cummings, and I am the proud mother of Joseph Edward Bowser II. I have two daughters as well, India Bowser and Alexia Bowser. Just happy that my family could be here with me today. We had a special occasion yesterday. That's what they're here in town for. It was bittersweet, and that's what I'm here about today.
I am Elisha Clark, and I have two kids, Kyrie Hollins and Miss Mila Mason. We are here visiting from Nashville, Tennessee, celebrating with my sister and my nieces, and I'm just happy to be here with family.
And my name is Quintet Clark, and I'm the brother of Tracey and uncle of Joe Bowser II. And, just happy to be here and discussing, my nephew and, just happy to be here.
Well, great. Thank you all. So we're going to, first of all, we do want to apologize for the young lady who scheduled the show. We were unable to get your confirmation, so we definitely look forward that we will get you back on the show, but we're glad to be able to have such a timely moment. Just yesterday, there was a huge graduation where we have, I call her my little angel, Alexia Bowser. She was graduating at Western Michigan. And of course, for those who may know, that was the same time that her brother Joe Bowser II would have been graduating. Well, there were some special things that Western, matter of fact, you got this shirt on. You got a Bronco shirt on.
Nice.
Western Michigan, special thanks to, I know her as Brenda daughter. What's Brenda daughter's name?
Lacey Jones.
Lacey. Hey, Lacey Jones, I give you a shout out, girl. You did a great job. I'm for sure it's going to come up, so I just stole the thunder. But, you know, that's why it's called Dr. Smith at the kitchen table. So anyway, tell us about what happened at the facility in Western Michigan, the graduation part, before we come to the fellowship. Tell us about what took place.
Okay, yesterday, as Dr. Smith over here mentioned, Lacey Jones was the trailblazer. She's the one that took care of all the business. She reached out to the dean of engineering students. She did all the emailing and all the communication, and we were able to make this happen in honor of Joe. We had a meeting prior to the graduation, and we just worked out all the kinks. So when we were at Western on Saturday, we knew what we had to do. We were there to celebrate Joe, and he really worked hard at every credit he earned, and they were able to, you know, give him, or he received an honorary degree, and it was really special. They took time out between graduations. They accommodated all of my family, made sure we had tickets for Joe, but as well for Lexi, so my whole family was able to stay for the celebration for Lexi as well. But the dean of engineering students presented us as a family. My daughters and their dad and I were on stage, and they presented that to us in a special ceremony, and it was very emotional, but it was a very proud moment as well.
That's amazing. I see probably more of Quintet on Facebook following some of our comments. I may have seen something from Elisha, but Quintet, what was going through your head during that moment? You saw your sister, you saw your niece, you didn't see your brother, you didn't see your nephew. Mm-hmm. What was you feeling?
Like Tracey said, just really a bittersweet moment, because, you know, you look around and then you realize that Joe's not there. And so, you know, then also you want to be proud in that moment for Alexia, for her accomplishment. So it was just bittersweet. You know, I live in Houston, Texas, and I didn't get to make Joe's high school graduation, so this was a very important graduation for me. So for him not to be there and walk across the stage to accept his own award was really difficult. But, you know, at the same time, I was really happy that they honored him at the same time.
Elisha, let me get it right first. Say that one more time. Elisha, what did you feel? Again, we definitely want to celebrate Alexia, which is just a beautiful person. And then you got your nephew that's not there in spirit, he is, but not there physical. What was going on with you?
Quintet summed it up very well, perfectly. You know, it's emotional. It's a bittersweet feeling. We are proud of Alexia, and we are proud of Joe. It's hurtful not to see Joe standing up there.
There's been a lot of people who have talked about this. We've had multitudes of family members. I've had a chance to meet so many beautiful people. Of course, everyone knows I grew up with the actual father, Joe Sr. But what's so special, and again, bittersweet and unique, because in 2002, something tragic happened that literally impacted these three individuals. We're not talking about when Joseph was killed. I said 2002. 2002 was a very, very sad moment because that was the day that their father, Chester Clark, was killed. And then years later, they got to deal with their nephew or their son. What kind of connection, Elisha, you first, what connection do you get out of this? You know, you lost your father. To my knowledge, they haven't really solved anything. And I'm going to ask all y'all those same questions, but you go first. And we got the tissue, y'all. If y'all need a tissue, it's time for the tissue. But go ahead.
It is really sad. It's hurtful that a place that you come from, that you grew up in, where you have all these people that you
And your words are
love.
powerful, babe, so try to talk louder because your words are powerful and they need to hear you.
You have so many people here that you love. It's supposed to be a community. And it's even hard coming here to visit. Because it's just hurt. It's just a lot of pain. And to be surrounded by so many people who swear they love you. It's hard. It's hard to come here and look at all the different faces and see the different people. And I have two men in my life who I love the most, to not be here and to have to come back here and deal with it. It's rough. It's a lot.
Quintet?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. It's you know, it's just like you don't really understand. You don't know how to, you know, put into words because it's just really, you know, something that you can't describe. You know. And that's how I can put it. You know, I don't really, you know, my dad, lost our dad, and then, you know, to murder, and then to lose my nephew to murder. It's just something that you can't wrap your head around. So, but you try to be definitely strong because my sister lost her child. So, you know, just want to be a strength for her because she lost her father and her son. So, you know, sometimes you just want to set your feeling to the side and try to just be strong for the family. Yeah.
Many people ask the question, so Dr. Smith, why do you have these kind of meetings, or why do you bring up all these hurtful pain? Does that even help the matter? Well, from a counseling perspective, it actually does. It gives people a chance to release themselves without judgmental. It also gives themselves to connect. I'm not in a position where I lost a brother. So for us who never lost a brother, our job is to become a listening ear. And when they communicate, there's some form of healing. But that's not something we can do, so we listen, we don't write. So this is not a show where I'm giving them advice or counseling. I'm using this as a platform to allow things to come off their chest. So what they don't do is go home and grieve so hard at home that they begin to have self-destructive behavior. That's what happens quite often because we are from a generation, I know my generation for sure, my parents for sure, they were taught that you shouldn't talk about things. They would say you keep stuff within, you lock yourself up, but that's why we got so much internal pain. And so that's why we do that. Tracey, you are the oldest out of the two here, correct?
Correct.
So you was the oldest, so you, did you ever even think in a million years that you would lose your son the way you lost your father?
Never in a million years. Never. I never thought in a million years I would lose my dad like that. So that's the first thing. You know, I feel like with him, it's just so unfair. You know, his life was cut short. He was an all-around good guy, too. And for someone to snatch his life as well, it just wasn't fair. And then to sit around and know that someone is walking free and they didn't serve justice for what they did to my dad and what they did to my family. And then fast forward to now my son, I felt like that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. How could I have this happen to me again? I mean, it's just like, why me and why? And so I just never thought that would happen to my son. It was like the worst feeling to go through this again. And then now with it, you know, coming up on a year and no one is serving time for doing this to Joe, I feel like I'm going down this trail once again. And it's hurtful and it's not fair.
A lot of us will ask, well, Bishop, are you about to get into a demagogue. And for those who know theology, you know where I'm coming from. But this is not a demagogue analogy I'm about to do. I'm going to have Tracey do what Jesus did on the cross. For those that don't know this, when Jesus said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, he was saying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And a lot of people believe that you're not supposed to question God. That's a myth. That's a theology that somebody taught. Don't question God, don't question God, don't question God. No, you can ask God. You can cry out to God because God already knows. So for those that have been trained, that's what Jesus did even in the flesh. Even though he was God in the flesh, he was still giving us an example. He was on the cross saying, why? My question to you, Tracey, and you can I've been your pastor for some time now, but don't try to protect or thinking a lightning gonna strike you dead, because it's not. We serve a loving God. He get it. But I'm for sure you've had that conversation that you kind of alluded to. What was that cry out to God that you just? What was that why? What did you really say to God? What was that scream? Because trust me, Tracey, you're not the only one, and you won't be the last. What was that you just when you crying out, God, why? What'd you say?
I say it's not fair, and why did you take my son? You could have took me. I'd rather be dead than my son be dead, and it's not fair.
And so that's the conversation you have with God. Now, we've been down this road for a long time now, so I'm able to work with Tracey, and we've had counseling sessions. So we're a lot better than we were. So now we'll go back, because even though Tracey's not aware of this, even though Quintet's not aware of this, even though Elisha is not aware of this, they're helping other people. And in their pain, there's you that's listening, and you're being helped. And so they may not even know that, which is I tell Tracey this all the time. So Tracey says to God, why me, God? That's fair. But then she says, you could have took me. And if they would have took Tracey, then we would have been sitting here with 3 children talking about their mother. And for you that's watching this doesn't make her a bad person. But what we want to learn from this is, how do I keep living? And that's what they did. Joe Bowser lived yesterday. He was not in the flesh, but he was there. I saw the advertisement. I saw the images. I saw the celebration. And Joseph lived, and those 2 little girls can celebrate also. And that's extremely important. And I don't know how much pain this may cause, but I've always wondered, I don't get in people's business, but I always wondered, was it too painful? Because y'all got images of Joe, why y'all never try to put your dad shadow somewhere in any of those pictures?
We've talked about that as a family, me and my siblings. We are. Okay. It's just a matter, I've talked to them, I said I kind of want to get this handle with Joe. Okay. And then we'll move on, because it's so hard. I mean, my sister, we've had a lot of long talks and discussions, and I told her I'm still not over what happened in 2002. I still feel that pain like that was yesterday. So my heart is still bruised from that. So I'm like, my son's is new, it's fresh. I want to keep that. We've learned from what happened with my dad. So I'm trying not to go down that same road with Joe. Okay. So that's why I'm here today. That's why I reached out to the news to come to Western to our celebration. I have to keep Joe's name out there. I have to keep that story out there fresh. I'm hoping at some time that someone steps up, or I hope that someone has a heart to say I did wrong, or I know something, and speak up.
And we're going to cover that for a moment. We're definitely going to cover that. I want to just kind of bring out Quintet, if you don't mind, and I'm going to ask Elisha the same question. In 2002 to now, was there any real dark moments that happened, and you would like to share those dark moments, and how did you overcome it? And if so, what would you help? What could you say to help your viewing audience? Because things does happen. You get to a point, you can get really down.
Yeah.
Would you like to share about that?
You know, when my dad was murdered.
Talk louder, because y'all said some good stuff.
When my dad was murdered, I was 19, and I really don't know if I processed it completely at that time. You know, my siblings were closer to my dad. You know, and even more so, they took it more hard than I feel like I did. And so, you know, I think that trying to be, you know, as a man, you know, trying to be support for my sisters as women, you know, that's where the difficult part comes in, you know. My dad's no longer here, you know. And then fast forward now to Joe, you know, I don't have any kids. And so Joe, my nieces and nephews are like my kids to me. And so, you know, it's still difficult. So I just try to live life, and you know, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. That's fair.
yeah.
Fair.
And so
That's
it's
fair.
yeah. And that's,
Are you the let's erase Cummings side, other side? Would you be the only male left in this family?
on my dad's side, my uncle Fred, but I'm yes, and my nephew Kyrie.
Okay.
So as a male, yes.
Okay. But he's younger than you.
Yeah, my
So
nephew.
you,
Yeah.
So you'll be okay. Any dark moments, Elisha, that you had to experience from that 2002 experience up to Joe?
Oh yeah. There was a lot of drinking. Picked up quite a few bad habits. I just a downward spiral for a while. I was really close with my dad, and I kind of keep to myself and trying to deal with it the best way that I knew how to deal with it, and it made it hard because my family wanted me to be around because I reminded them so much of him, and so they would want me around and, you know, want to tell stories, and it made the process harder for me. But then on the other side, I kind of felt like God moved me to Nashville purposely to get me used to not being around my dad, to make it somewhat easier. But my dad was my everything, and then my son was so young, and to know that my son wasn't going to be able to grow up with him.
So you're still the Kyrie he's talking about?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, go ahead. I got you. Okay.
So that was hard. That was rough, because he was really important to me. And the crazy part about it is I just realized here recently I really hung on my Uncle Jerome a lot as a substitution for my father. And he just passed away. So it's like losing my dad all over again. And but you know, when people tell you that time helps and time heals, it does. And I used to get so upset when people would say that to me. There's like nothing that's going to help me with this. But time does help, and being around family. You know, the more time I would spend with them, it did help. It did help. But I did have to set my boundaries too. I did have to set some boundaries for me and my mental state. But being around them, it does help. And now we're at a healthy point where we can sit around and talk about my dad, and we can laugh and share stories, and it has gotten easier, but at the same time, death changes the entire dynamic of your family. Like, it has changed us. And then dealing with Joe, like, we're not the same. Our relationships are not the same, you know. We're trying to, you know, get to know each other all over again, tiptoe around the hurt and the pain, and it's rough. It's rough.
Tracey, dark moments from dad to now.
Oh, with my dad, I was in my 30s, and my kids were little, and my kids were really close to my dad, and he was always around in my apartment. And I remember when little Joe found, I think he was like in 3rd grade when it happened, and I remember he was just so distraught and hurt, and he was like, I just want to kill somebody, and that's what he said. And I'll never
That's what
forget
little
that.
Joe said that.
Yeah,
At 3 years old.
No, he was in 3rd grade.
Oh, 3rd grade.
whatever.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
he was
3rd
in
grade.
He's
Okay.
like, when he found out, he said, I want to, he said that.
Okay. 6. Okay, gotcha. Go
Oh,
ahead.
he's older than that, but
Go ahead.
yeah, he's probably about 7. But anyway, that was his reaction. And then, you know, it was hurtful for me, but I also had to be an adult for my children. My siblings, we just totally had a breakdown. It was like they were trying to hold me up. I was trying to help them because I was the oldest sibling, but it just was no holding the other person up. We couldn't do it. We were so broken. And like Elisha said, it was a lot of drinking, trying to drink our sorrows away, a lot of just not really caring. You know, I had to be here for my children, so I would stand up as much as I could to take care of them. But as soon as I could, you know, put them to bed, or if they went over to one of my relatives' house, it was time to, you know, just drink and try to drink my troubles away. And over time, I don't know if things got better. It was just able to just deal with it. You know, like, you know, this is your life, this is the cards you've been dealt, deal with them. So that's kind of the way I, you know, kept on moving. And then with Joe, it was just so unbelievable that this would ever even happen. Like, how does this happen to one person in a lifetime? It's not fair. And so it's a lot of dark moments. It's always dark to me. You know, yesterday was a good day because we were there to honor Joe and, of course, Lexi. But when I went home, it's like, okay, it happened, but he's still not here. So it's still those dark moments. I have them every day. It's like every day.
So, Tracey, since this ordeal has occurred, you have received some training. We're going to continue to go down for it because we want to talk about some productive things Tracey's doing in her pain. You went to go get some training to do what? What are you being trained and certified to do, Tracey?
The training that I go to in Great Rapids?
Yes, what is this all about? Tell me about, you ain't got to talk about the sponsor, but tell me what you're doing and what is it for?
Oh, I'm getting trained in trauma-sensitive yoga.
Explain what is trauma-sensitive yoga?
Yes,
What is that?
that's a form of
I'm
yoga.
lifting the spirit of God. See,
That's-
we're American Spock. I guess you're gonna be dad. I don't know.
It's
Let's
not
see
a
what she gonna
dance.
say, cause yoga, like.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly
So
it.
what you
That's
gonna
it.
be doing? Tell her what you gonna be doing.
I'm going to be trained. I've only been to 2 classes, so I have a whole year of training. I'm going to be trained in people that have went through trauma like myself, that we have a release in doing yoga. I have to go through the training to see what exactly the trauma part of it is.
So that helps you.
I like yoga. It's not for everybody, but I do like yoga.
And it
I like
helps you?
Yeah, I like the relaxation, relieving
what you
stress.
doing?
Yes.
Now tell me what you do, cause y'all, I'm a God man. I want to make sure y'all ain't messing with my God. What y'all doing?
Yeah, no, it's stretching, it's breathing exercises, and things like that. Like I said, I would rather talk about that when I'm more trained. I've only had 2 classes.
But
so
my
I can't
point
tell you
is,
that.
y'all, my point is she's still living. In the midst of her pain, she's still living. And I'm going to always that's the pledge I made to Tracey. Tracey's not going to check out of here, and no one in here going to check out, because we have to continue to live. 2002, she probably thought she wouldn't made it. And it's 2019. Joe, unfortunately, gone. But she's still here. You know why? Because I believe with them 2 beautiful daughters, there's going to be some grandkids on the way. Not now, but eventually, and you're going to probably have some grandsons. That's probably inevitable. And you got to live to be that grandmama. So you know what? You got to keep on living, baby. Listen, brothers and sisters, let's talk about... I notice you all come to church when you come visit us, make me feel pretty good. And Quintet, you being a man, and our church is probably a little different. I have not given them a check in the mail, so if they say anything good about me or the church, it's pure. If they say something bad, we cut the tape off. No, just kidding. So Quintet, unfortunately, you had a chance to meet me through a bad experience. I don't think you was following me prior to that. What's your take on Kingdom ministry and how this ministry is helpful or not helpful? The reason why I like to hear this is because we want other community people to learn how important our role is, because you never know what folks going through. So as a male, what's your take on it?
Well, first, just what you've done for, my sister and my nieces and my nephew, is, I appreciate that. And what I love when I come here and I come to church with my sister is that you're so inspiring, and you're just inspiring, and that's what I love about it, the sense of community and helping people in the community. Because like you said today in your sermon, you can say anything, but it's how you're helping people, the change that you're making. And so I feel like that's what's most important, is going into the community, helping people and other young men that, even, those that may take up a destructive life, that possibly would go out there and kill somebody like someone killed Joe, and maybe turn their life around. So that is, to me, that's the basis of everything, why I love Kingdom Builders, is because it's just inspiring.
And we thank you. You are always a member here. Thank you. Elisha, what's your thought about it?
I think what you're doing here is just so awesome. It not only just touches me here with my immediate family, but my extended family as well. I can see it, and I hear it from everyone that's close to me here. So I think you're so genuine. I love coming and listening to you get up there and talk, and I can relate. And just the things that you've been doing with the building and in the community, like, we need this here. And I hope you continue to keep doing what you're doing.
DJ gonna bring in the show, man, because sometimes we forget about our co-hosts. So co-hosts, you better slip in while you can.
Get in where you fit in.
No, I think part of my role is just, I kind of like to listen, and I like to learn, and just try to relate to some of the things that you guys are going through, to my experiences. Both my parents are living. I did lose a sibling to cancer. So I can't imagine what it feels like to lose, a family member that close. But I do remember when my sister passed, I was in the bed next to her, sitting right next to her when she passed away. And I was upset with God. I was mad. Me and Bishop talked about that. Right. And my dad was just as angry.
Yes.
And, and he was a trustee and a deacon in his church, but until we understood really what that was all about, you never stop grieving. I think you deal with it. I think, at some point, my sister is living right here, and in my memory. So, and that's helped. So talking about it is huge. You can't hold a lot of things in. You have to really discuss and talk about what you're feeling. If you hold those things in, next thing you know, it just kind of comes out like a bomb, and explodes. But one thing that I will say, and I was listening to you describing Bishop Smith's ministry, and I think I've said this before, he has a very untraditional and unconventional way of preaching, more like a gut check type ministry, you know what I'm saying? Bishop says a lot of things a lot of folks don't want to hear. They think it, and but they don't say it, and it's a big pill to swallow sometimes. So his heart is huge, and I've seen it over and over and over again. There's times where Bishop Smith will step in and do things, and to me, myself, I would say, man, I'm not sure if I do that, but that's who he is. And because that's who he is, I've kind of inherited that same mentality and that same mindset. He's not like most preachers and most teachers that I've ever had the experience of being around. So I think that's what makes him unique. He has that gut check type ministry, So.
So at 5
And
o'clock-
he didn't pay me either.
Yeah,
gonna say that, so
no checks in the mail.
I don't get no
y'all.
checks in the
appreciate
mail.
Those nice words. So 5 o'clock, Kingdom Builders. What took place yesterday?
Yesterday.
5 or 6, something like
Yeah,
that.
it was 5.
Okay.
So yesterday, after we left Western Michigan University, honoring Joe, definitely seeing Lexi walk across the stage, but also we had a cousin, Keosha Ridley. She walked across the stage yesterday too. So it was just a proud moment for our family. So once we left, we went back to Kingdom Builders, and we went to the Georgia Howard Banquet Center, and we were there to celebrate with our family. We had a lot of good food, good music, good fellowship.
Yeah.
We had over 100 people there, probably about 130 people we had there. And they turned there.
They turned up in the church.
No, they showed up, and we had a good time. We did not turn up, okay? Yeah. No, but we had a good time. Yeah, Deacon was there, so yeah, we made sure we were, in check. So, but we did have a good time at church, and it was such an honor to be there. And I was so grateful and thankful that everyone came out to honor Lexi, and of course, it was in their minds that of Joe as well, and so that was nice. And then News Channel 3 was at the graduation, and they recorded a lot, and they did a really nice piece on the news last night. And then also, I liked that they interviewed Sergeant Elliott, and one thing he said was that they have 2 people of interest, but both of those people are out of state. And those are definitely 2 people that I kind of have a feeling that are involved. So I'm hoping that someone sees that, and we're able to get those 2 that are out of state, and they know who they are, to come back so we can make some arrests, and we can have some justice served.
So I was going to ask her to bring that up, that she did have a conversation with one of the sergeants. As they're my family, but as the co-host or as the host, I ask questions that other folks is thinking. And so I'm going to ask the question to you, Tracey, and if the brother, the little sister want to defend her, y'all can do that. Why don't you let it go, Tracey? I mean, we're getting tired of hearing it. People lose lives all the time. I mean, it's like, why don't you just let it go? When that thought is out there, how that make you feel? Now, you can't curse on this show, because I know you curse. I know this is one of my cursing members. So, beep, beep, beep. No, really. When that tone, let it go, dog. I mean, there go Bishop, there go India. Golly, move on. Y'all ain't the only one.
Well, you
If y'all
can never
want
move.
to kick in, y'all can.
Well, I'm not the only one, but I'm the only one that lost Joe. So if anybody has anything to say about that, you haven't lost a child yet. And I'm never going to get over it. Even when I do have justice, I'm still not going to be over it. I will carry this burden to the day I close my eyes. And so that's what I would say to them. You haven't lost a child, and I'm going to fight forever. You're going to hear from me as long as I have a voice. You're going to hear about my son. Even when we do get the person, the people that did it, who you know who you are. And when you have those cuffs on your hands, you're still going to hear from me. That's never going to end until I have no more breath in my body.
Sister, brother.
Who's saying stuff like that?
Oh, it's said now. I'm like DJ said. Deacon said, I'm the one that's gonna say what I know is being said. So you can grieve so much you may not even feel it, but people do say you spend so much time. If it wasn't Joe, folks' kids get killed all the time. What is it about Joe? So I like to hear how y'all feel about that when that's said. And the reason why I bring that up, because it may stop people from doing that, because the reality, it is what happens.
I'm just gonna speak. This is our family, and Joe, how people see Joe, that's how we see him from a baby. He was a special kid from a baby. And that's our family member. It's my nephew, that's her son. It's India's brother, Lexi's brother. So, like she said, like Tracey said, this, you know, we're going to fight until the day that, and if Tracey, like she said, if she closed her eyes, we're still going to fight because that's our family. And like you said, a sense of community, a sense of family. This is family. And that's one thing, speaking about my dad, that he always instilled in us. This is your sister, these are your siblings, and you stick up for your siblings, you fight for your siblings. And so, of course, their kids that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna fight for their kids. And so that's just what it is. That's our family, and we're gonna fight for our family to the end, period.
You know, when people make statements like that, that's a problem. And that's one of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in now. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't just continue to be quiet. I mean, you have to say something. So, you know, it lives on. You got to keep going.
Another one I'm going to bring up, again, that's what makes the show the #1 talk show in this area, because I have to bring the things up to give us to have these discussions. So, my first cousin, I know she's watching me, and which is Rosetta. When she lost Bam, to this day, she talks about Bam. And Rosetta, you know I'm probably listening. You're going to probably say something. But as her first cousin, I would say, man, what about Beeper? Seemed like Beeper was my rain barrier. It hurts that Bam left. But what about Beeper? So when I brought her on the show, she explained it. And she admitted that she had to go back and talk to Beeper because Beeper's still living. Mm-hmm. So how do we manage Alexia? I said it right, didn't I?
You did.
Come on, somebody. And India. How do we not forget about them because we got to bring these siblings in? Imagine one of y'all. And then you here, but you're gone, and your parents is saying things like, imagine. So how because remember, even though you're talking about your family, which is always important, you got a right to defend Joe until you die. Don't ever let nobody take, and I ain't gonna worry about that. You're not gonna let nobody take that from you. Mm-hmm. But you guys don't realize y'all helping other people. And so when we had these shows, what about the India? What about the Alexia? What about Beeper? And the other siblings that's still living, saying, Mom preoccupied her whole life. Okay, Alexia is just a unique person. But what if it was what if it's India? Or what if I was that child? I may be like, Mom, but this is my day. How you deal with that? Because you're helping the audience. There's people thinking about this every day. What about the two that's still here? Cousins, aunties, talk about that. Anybody can jump into that.
That's, you know, we have to constantly check on our family. You have to constantly say, are you okay? How are you doing? Good. Do you need something? That's what family is. Good. We have to step in where the rest of us fall short. That's what we do. It just is what it is. We all fall into that. We all can't be as strong as we should be or could be or need to be. So yes, I need to step in for my sister and check on my nieces and see if they need something. No problem. Good. We don't have any problem.
Good.
And showing up for these special moments.
Good.
Showing up for my family when they need me. When Lexia's special moment is here, I'm here to let her know that I'm here to support her.
Good. So where are you living at now in Quintet?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas, and you're in, now where you at?
I'm in Nashville.
You know, you got a pretty talk host personality. You want my job? You doing pretty good. I'm checking you out. You doing pretty good, girl.
And I like public speaking.
Birthday today.
Oh, today's the birthday?
Yeah, today's birthday.
Hold on, y'all. Okay. It's her birthday.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got something for the birthday, too. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Wait. Watch this, butter.
Is this the birthday song?
This is a new one. Hold on. Just gonna be a little bit. Just a little bit, y'all. Just a little bit. Watch this, y'all. Watch it. Just a little bit, y'all. Cause see, that's that blues. Blues. But you know about that blues, butter. Come on now. Don't act like you don't remember blues, butter. Now watch this, y'all. Here we go. This is for you. Here we go. All right. I had to hear that. Today is your birthday. I wish you. Yeah, we had a church one. You know,
Yeah,
we got the we got the Stevie Wonder one, but I just wanted you to get the blues. You know, happy birthday. If you don't mind, I know women don't like talking about it. You in your 40s, 30s, what? Where you at?
I'm 40.
40. Well, happy birthday to you. Let's give God a praise for her. Amen. Amen. So, right now we're at a point where a lot of folks have been wondering what are we going to do with the Joe Bowser Center. I've had this conversation with Tracey. A lot of this takes a lot of time because, as I think the uncle said, or the aunt said, things change and their whole life changed. So Alexia, still trying to finish school. She's in Kalamazoo doing great. India, my girl, moved to Chicago. And all that's part of dealing with it, you know. She went to Chicago, doing good down there. And Tracey's in Lansing. And there's other family members that's on the Cummings side and the other side, the Bowsers, all involved. So what we've been doing is we're trying to get in some direction where I'll be talking with Tracey, but we are in process of still getting that office up and running. We're hiring a young man to be able to monitor the website, because there's a website that will allow us to even put their father on the website. Also, we are going to be getting ready for the telethon. So there's a lot of things we will do, but a lot of us are wondering what's going on. It's just that when you lose someone, as the brother said, things change, and it's kind of hard to deal with some stuff so soon. But just rest assured, the Joseph Bowser Center is going to be very, very active. We have individuals that's trained in mediation. We're working with the school department, so we're going to be dealing with a whole lot of young children. So the name Joseph Bowser will never leave, because that's the name of the actual organization. But the organization is going to do a lot of good. So for all of you that were a part of supporting your annual contribution that you gave, you will be getting reports of all those things. The sister is trained in the finances, and you have Alexia, and you have the mom and the aunts and the other aunts from different families. So it's going to be taking place, and we're going to continue to support this organization because the community definitely need it. So Tracey, you kind of sure that you know. So let me say this. Just recently, we had a sad situation where there was a verdict, and if the family members would like to come on this show and talk about that, I got one of the daughters, a member of the church, and I work very close with her father. So I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the other side. If you really want to come on the show and talk about it, you are more than welcome. So I won't speak on that situation, but I'm going to use that as an analogy. And they basically went to trial, and the verdict came back, and the young man was set free. So I did have a conversation with the prosecutor. And one of the reasons why prosecutors don't want to prosecute is because if they don't have enough information and they get one of those incidents, it's almost reopened the womb. So we got the two young men that you're referring to. No need to mention the names anymore. And let's say there's other folks involved, and we do go to court. We do have trial. We got all these witnesses. Folks testify. And they got great prosecutors. They got great defense attorneys. Would it be better for you that we made sure we had everything in order and the conviction stuck? Or you just rather for it to go to trial? If you had your perfect wish, Tracey, Are you satisfied them being on trial? But then when the evidence come out, because unfortunately, any form of reasonable doubt, they got to dismiss the case. If that happens, would you feel like, and again, y'all, that's not just for Tracey, that's for all y'all.
And unfortunately, I was in the courtroom with that family that day.
You was or you were not?
I was.
Oh, you were there, okay.
I was there, so I seen the hurt. I seen what that mother went through again. It opened it up, like you said, like the day she lost her son. Just from us, just our conversation.
Yes.
So, and I felt her pain. I felt like that could be me.
Yeah.
I talked to the Detective Marshall about that, and I want to make sure we have all the evidence. I don't want to have any doubt that whoever did that to Joe, that they get convicted.
Okay.
I don't want to have to have to be carried out the courtroom like this lady, because I know she hurts for her son. I know she was there for justice for her child. I was there with her. I was holding her hand. So I don't want that to happen. I don't know if that was to happen to me, if I could pick myself back up again. So I want to make sure that we have all the evidence, and like I said, there's no way that I want someone to walk out of that courtroom and a free man, or free men.
That's important, y'all. That's what this is all about. We got to look at all areas. My responsibility, as I preached yesterday, I stay in my own lane. I'm the pastor, I'm the friend, I'm the spiritual father. I'm going to support them. But these prosecutors going to have to do their job. And y'all got to hold them accountable. And y'all got to have those same serious discussions that says what you said. And my heart do go out to the mother. I haven't had a chance to really talk to the mom, but my heart do go out to her, because I can only imagine and what that took place. So where we go from here, Elisha, where your life at? What you trying to do? We talked about Elisha. We talked about what we preached today in service. What you gonna do? What time I got y'all? What's your life like? What you plan on doing with your future? I got 5 minutes, real? I got about 5 minutes, y'all, so we get ready to wrap this up real quickly. What's that bucket list for you?
I just want to be able to run my own business and take care of my kids.
You fried chicken?
I do not.
Unless you were at church, you wouldn't know that was an inside joke, okay? So you had to be at church to get that joke, okay?
I'm trying to make my pie.
But you make your pie, okay?
T-shirts, you were kind of like maybe wanting a vision about T-shirts?
I am definitely thinking about coming up with a T-shirt, us collectively making T-shirts for Joe, because I just made a post on Facebook not too long ago. Have an issue with the shirts that's being made and printed with Joe's face on it, and it was not, my sister wasn't asked for permission, and none of those funds have been coming back to my sister or the family. So we are going to come up with some shirts because people want memorabilia of Joe.
You said it's in demand. That's what you're looking at.
Yep, it's definitely in demand, and so Tracey, Andy, myself, Quintet, and Alexia, we're gonna all get together.
And Michelle.
And Michelle.
Our sister Michelle was in the
Yeah, our
audience.
sister Michelle, and make sure we get that going as well.
Well, look, y'all, my time is up real quick, but she just made a very valid point, and this is where the black community has to come together and talk to people who know the game, because the reality is, no one can stop anybody from making T-shirts. So what they need to do, and I'm not going to say it private, I'm going to tell them they need to do this immediately. You need to get you someone who's smart, or find you a lawyer, and you trademark your son's name, and that squashes it. That's all you have to do. And it's not nothing hard to do, but you got to trademark your son's name where you have the TM, and then anyone use his face, they can be sued.
Okay.
That's something that needs to be done. And then we can be free from all those things. We can continue to ask, but because we live in a capitalistic society, people are free to do whatever they want to do. I was wondering what Nikki posted, so she was talking about you then. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what sister. Also, for the sake of our other sister, you have another sister that's here.
Yeah, Michelle.
Michelle
Cummings.
Cummings, and your stepfather, your father, they all been helpful, and the Bowser family. We love you all. We thank God for all of you. Name the three families. You got the Clarks, the Bowsers, Cummings. Was there one more?
Williams.
And the Williams. So thank you very much, family, for doing what y'all doing. Well, what's that feisty auntie I like?
And Sharon.
Ooh, and Sharon. Ooh, girl. I won't mess with you, Aunt Sharon. I promise you, I'm going to stay in your grace. All right, Aunt Sharon. Boy. Hey, we got time about 30 seconds co-host, 30 seconds brother, sister, daughter, and then we're going to let y'all go home.
Much love and respect for the family, and I'm always here to help and support.
Thank you for having me, and here to discuss the memory of my nephew with my sisters and my nieces, and thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you came.
Thanks for having us here, being able to talk and speak on behalf of Joe and the family. It's been nice.
And then I just want to thank everyone for coming out, supporting, and as you mentioned, you know, all my family, the Williams, the Clarks, the Cummings. And when you mentioned that earlier, when you said stepfather, I don't consider him a stepfather.
Okay.
That's the father that stepped up.
That's a good man.
And
That's the deacon. I call him the deacon.
And I respect
My
him. I
man
love
deacon.
him. He
Yes.
has had my back
Yeah.
through thick and thin. And I just want to make sure I give him that respect because he
Good.
deserves it and he earned it.
That's
And so
beautiful.
does my dad. Chester Clark, that was my daddy, and we did everything together. So
Good.
I have much respect for both of those men because they made me who I am today.
Okay.
And thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and I gotta give a shout out to my girl India. That's my girl right there. India. Okay, y'all, this is my #1 song that people don't like, but you deal with it. Because the change ain't all the way yet. Hey, y'all, you know what? I always acknowledge my ancestors. I am grateful for, on my mom's side of the family, Lil Del Perry Sr. And my grandmother, Ruby Elizabeth Perry. And my mom, which is still with me, I love her to death. Thank God for her. She helped perform the ceremony for her granddaughter.
All right.
It was a beautiful event. So, you know what? Way to go, Mom. Also, my father's side, which, you know, I feel that father thing. A lot of us in here lost our dads, whether they were perfect dads, not dad. Something about that daddy is always important to you. You just it's just there. Hugh Smith, Sr., my man, gone on. And, of course, his mom gone, Gussie Smith. And, of course, my granddad's gone, Edward West Smith, where I got my name from. Listen, y'all, we have to understand who we are. And we all need to always have a map in the family. We got to have a globe so we know where we're going. We got to keep going forward. Forget those things which are behind. Don't give up on your past, but don't let your past keep you stagnated. You may think we're stuck. We're not stuck. Tracey's moving on. She's hurting, and she's going to keep loving her son, but she's moving on because that's what little Joe would say. And that's what her father would say. If they were here right now, they'd say, daughters, son, if Chester was here, y'all did a great job, but keep on living because there's a fight in me. Your father was a fighter, and so you're a fighter. And little Joe would say the same thing. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the show. We thank you for these 3 beautiful siblings. I'm just privileged. I'm just honored. I'm just blessed to have the chance to even sit down and talk to these brothers and sisters. Keep comforting their heart. And I hope this message that they share will touch somebody else to move on and to go forward. And anyone that's going around taking people's lives, anyone that's walking free, I pray, God, that conviction will come upon them and they will bring themselves to justice so they can live. Because I can imagine that guilt that you feel is wearing you out. And God, thank you for this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all did good.
AccessVision, your voice, your community.